Hello, you guys, and welcome back. If you are new here to our deep dive episode, today we are talking about Bikram Yoga. And so
Bikram.
before Bikram, I was here Bikram, that's
Bikram.
probably sounds more correct. Bikram, white people. But before we dive into that, if you are a new listener here, this is Allie, the voice that you're hearing. If you're over on the YouTube, I'm the one not in a little box right now. Maddie is in
Literally.
a little workspace box, but I am a health and fitness coach and I help women that are trying to lose fat, trying to tone up, do it stress free. If you want to learn more about that, go find me on Instagram. We're going to put our stuff in the handle. Maddie is also a health and fitness coach. Who are you, Maddie? Tell the people that are new here.
I am Maddie. And I help women get lean and strong and I get them in the gym lifting. So if you're already working out, I'm the perfect place to start because we're going to optimize your workouts and make sure you do get leaner and stronger. So you can go to my page, all that fun stuff is there. But yeah, we're super excited. Again, if you're super new and you're like, who the hell are these people? What I want to learn, like about the Bikram yoga craziness. We started this podcast together. Allie forced me to start it. And we wanted to make a community for women so they can come someplace to they can hear like their two girlfriends just chit chatting. We talk about health and fitness, but we're not here to bore you with the science. We're here to make things fun, make you think about things differently. We talk about mental health, we talk about body image, we talk about getting stronger, talk about fat loss, all the things, and we interview our friends and other professionals and experts in the field to help you guys. Like we have this month, I believe. I get so lost on which month's which month, but we have fertility specialists this month, so we're really excited for that one. But if you're here just catching us for the first time for Bikram, we hope you say.
Yeah. And we're super excited because when we do the deep dives, it is stuff that we want you to be more aware about. So if you are here for the deep dive and you want to just hear exclusive, more deep dives, we have done them on Herbalife, on Brittany Dawn, who is an influencer who scammed a lot of people. We have done them on greens powders. Like we are here to give you more information to empower you. That's part of the brand of the podcast. Like we want to empower women
Hmm.
when it comes to their overall health, mental health, physical health, all that sort of stuff. But again, like Maddie said, do it in a capacity where it's fun and you're just
Hmm.
listening with your girlfriends because we all need that space. Okay. We all need that. And I'm really excited for this episode because I know so little on Bikram yoga, but what I have heard from like different podcasts, I was shook. And it's always interesting in a lot of places, like people are taken advantage of or they don't know better. And happens a lot in the fitness and wellness space. And so this is just a really crazy story that was just, it's kind of eye-opening to me. Like what I have heard, I was like, holy shit.
Sorry,
Maddie's
I had a
coughing.
it was a burp, coffee burp. I was like, I need to mute this really fast. Yeah, so let's just dive in because we are on
Yeah.
limited time. Because I was pure chaos this morning. So let's get into the deep dive from Bikram Yoga. So I had a ton of sources. I am I'll try to say them like the where I got it
Yeah.
from before. They will all be listed in the show notes. So if I don't say the source, please know they are in the show notes. I am not plagiarizing. I did not do independent research like interviewing people. I literally researched like a student.
Yeah.
So, who the heck is Bikram? I probably am mispronouncing his last name, but Choudhury, I think is how you pronounce it. The biggest thing to take away from who this person is, his childhood, his achievements, his everything about him is that it is very hard, especially research wise, to figure out what is factual and what is a lie. That's like the biggest thing I
Mhm.
got from here. And I'm going to talk about the lies you've said and kind of like we're not sure what's actually real and what's not real, what's factual. So, even finding like his childhood information. Like I was like, what is real and what is not? So, and I found some sites that were like definitely like written by him, and it was very funny to read.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I won this award, he won that. Like, there's definitely people who are very diehard for him, yet there are many allegations against him. So let's just get into it. So
Yeah.
he was born in Kolkata, India, in 1946. That is factual. And what we do know is that he experienced an injury while lifting heavy weights. That is kind of true to an extent. He and this is where it gets kind of confusing because he experienced this injury and then it kind of seems like that's what got him into yoga and practicing yoga, but then they kind of go in and be like, "Oh, he was actually practicing yoga since he was the age of 4." So it's like,
Okay.
what like we don't know what's actually true there.
Right.
Um, Doctors told him that he would never be able to return to lifting weights, so that's when he started studying yoga under his guru, Vishnu Sharan Ghosh, and they said that he learned Raj Yoga under Ghosh, and this is apparently how he healed his leg. And then apparently he began teaching at the age of 17, creating his own unique method of Bikram Yoga, and then he opened Bikram Yoga College in India. And what Bikram Yoga is you practice it at 105 degrees with 40% humidity, which sounds fucking terrible. Like,
So is it the same thing as hot yoga?
kind of.
Okay, like Bikram is like more specifically at like these
Yes.
certain conditions. Hot yoga is like kind of like fake Bikram yoga.
Kind of, because the point that makes it Bikram is that not only is it 105 degrees, not only is that 40% humidity to remove toxins, which, saunas do help with that. So it's like not
Yeah,
really, not, that's kind of factual.
sure.
But it is the precise sequence of 26 movements.
Okay.
So that's what makes it Bikram yoga, along with breathing exercises. It's a 90-minute class. So it's like all these things together is what makes it Bikram. So from that, he amassed $75 million fortune, and he's on the fleet currently. So that's kind of
Like
like a little bit,
present day.
well, kind of, but not really. It's really
Okay.
weird. Like
Okay.
I couldn't. We're gonna get to present day stuff, but I really couldn't pinpoint where he totally was right now, which is weird.
We
So
need an air tag on this man.
yeah, we need a tracker, like a little dart, like, a little dart.
Literally.
So this is again where I was like, what is real? So now when I was looking at some of his like background, like, okay, his injury versus when he started, then they're saying, oh, he was practicing yoga since the age of 4. And that 12 years old, he was the youngest champion of India, holding 3 consecutive years of a title under his guru. Until his guru was like, all right, you need to stop doing this because you've been winning so many times. But I just read he didn't get into yoga until his like injury. So it's like what is actually true? It's kind of
Yeah.
like he amassed all this fame and then started like backlogging a fake history to like make more sense to why he is so good at yoga.
Right, right. Yeah, you see that a lot with people like him because it gives you more
Credentials.
notoriety.
Yeah.
Yeah, credentials. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's weird. Sus
Right.
number one.
So sus. And the funny thing is, Henderson, who was this reporter, found that the National Yoga Championships didn't start till after the 1970s. So there was no way he could have done that.
At that young age, right?
Correct.
Okay.
After he left Calcutta is where they were happening. So he didn't attend Ghosh, his guru, his college, until after he was a cheerleader. Why do I get cheerleader? After he was a teenager,
Hmm.
and he was actually studying massage and weightlifting. So he never won all those championships. He was never doing yoga that young. So it's like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Um, and so back to where his guru was like, you need to stop competing because you're winning. He went to pursue marathon running, which I don't think happened, and Olympic style weightlifting. And this is where he set the world record in the 1964 Olympics in Tokyo. So obviously, I do my due diligence. I'm like, okay, who won the gold medal in Tokyo? Not him. I just checked the
Was he
Olympic
even
site.
in the Olympics?
Oh. I looked. I couldn't find his
That's
name
like
anywhere.
so embarrassing.
Like, you can easily fucking Google that.
Right.
Yeah, so
I mean, I
even
guess at the time, whenever like maybe he was like, there's no internet, because like Google became big in like 1990s, 2000s, like around there. So maybe he
mhm,
was just like thinking that's never going to be provable.
yes, so he was now at the Olympics,
So weird.
and it's like the knee injury occurred at 17. So that's it's like, how did he couldn't have gone back in time. He didn't attend that college, didn't even start. So the sources say that his guru taught him the 26 poses, and that's how he created that. And how he hurt his knee is actually also like really funny because it's so like egotistical. A spotter dropped a 465-pound weight on his left leg, crushing it. And yoga healed it.
Right.
I'm
That
sorry, but like you would have a bionic knee after that.
yeah, literally like that would no, no.
so so see what I mean by like what the hell is actually real, right? We
Right.
don't know. Okay, so anything you want to add on to there before I move to the next part?
No, I think it's all sus. Like to
Sus.
understand the background of just somebody that's like clearly a pathological liar,
Hmm.
sus.
Okay. So starting his Bikram Yoga enterprise, so he brought it to the US in the 1970s, opened a studio in LA. So when you do that, you kind of have to like fake it till you make it. That's how I thought. So he claimed that Elvis Presley was his first student, and his second student was Richard Nixon. This is actually really funny. President.
Oh my God. That's like
So
really random. Like
mhm,
they're not, I mean, as Elvis got older, was not in any good health condition. So like why are you
no,
thinking somebody that like is not a vision of health?
who know? I don't know. It just
Bizarre.
famous name, get the notoriety. So the doctors wanted to amputate Nixon's leg. He had phlebitis. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And so after 4 days of hy- hydropathic treatment in a tub and then Bikram yoga, he healed Nixon's leg, and that's how he got a green card. I don't know how this man got a green card. I really don't know. Like I'm probably was here illegally. Um, and he claims that President Richard Nixon, because he healed him, he gave him the green card. Obviously not. And looking at the officials from the Richard Nixon Library and Museum, they could not find any evidence they ever met. The Indian journalist Chandrima Paul also said they couldn't find any records of him being at any championship or anything, and that everything is just so like there's no he never met Nixon, like he never did any of that. He never got a green card from
Right.
him. So
Yeah.
lots of fake stuff. So now that he is like amassing fame because he's like just pulling, names out of his fucking ass, he trying to attract Hollywood elites because he's in LA. So he attracted a American actress and author, Shirley MacLaine. And when she came into the picture, things exploded because she was famous at the time. So that
Right.
really put his name on the map. And he was doing like donation based classes, and now he's charging like big money for his classes because of Shirley. All of these big people were coming. And then he was kind of presenting himself as a guru and spiritual healer in that time. Like, I feel like people were probably really into that because of like the time, what was it, the 70s?
The 70s,
And
yeah.
yeah, like very hippie. So it just kind of like makes sense how that was like just exploding fast. Then it's funny, a one of the students, Bonnie Jones Reynolds, she actually created her own fitness book. And it basically was a copy of Bikram Yoga. And so he sued her and he took her Beverly Hills home.
Oh my God.
Mhm. Mhm.
Damn.
Yeah, so he is using all these fake things to get himself up and now charging and using the Hollywood elites to build his name and everything.
Right. Right. And it's kind of funny that like somebody that's scamming people then got scammed, but then he made money out of it. It's like,
Yeah.
no, no, it's like going all to the wrong people.
Yes. So now he's going to get into trademarking, which is kind of funny. So we know Bikram Yoga, he trademarks 105 degrees, 40% humidity, the sequence of 26 poses, 90-minute class. So in 2003, he filed for copyright of that 26 poses,
Yep.
that his own intellectual work. He gets the copyright, or the copyright. But then a year later, the copyright office was like, you can't trademark like ancient, like historical practices. So
Right.
they take the copyright out. But then I think he like has another way that he can copyright it or trademark it, because then like when copycat studios open up, they can get sued.
Right.
But so his copyright didn't stick in the 26 poses. But at one point, he ends up having 650 affiliated Bikram studios across the US.
Holy crap.
hmm
That is
So,
insane.
so how is he doing this? He in 1994 creates an exclusive 9-week teacher training, okay, across the US.
Mm-hmm.
It costs up to $10,000, which is like crazy. Just the teacher training, not being able to like open up your studio. People were vomiting, people were fainting, like literally near death.
My
And
God.
it was, I know, it was the Bikram Yoga College of India. So he's having like 400 students, like biannually, go to these luxury hotels. They began, the training started at 7 a.m., didn't end till like 2 a.m., literally.
What?
Yes, they were like marathon yoga sessions. He had you memorize yoga scripture. They had all these big lectures that he did. They had at night they had screenings of Bollywood films. Like they weren't sleeping. Like it was insane schedules. They had restrictions on what you could eat, what you could wear, how you could
Yeah.
behave, how you could talk to him. Like it was very much of a cult, and it's very much of he was in power, and there was a lot of women he was being authoritative over, and that's where like the
Right.
big things started happening. The students were given like a welcome letter, and they were like, you cannot judge or question anything he says, so creating that like the hierarchy, in
Yep.
there, like you're basically just, you have to be there and just be a student, and you can't open your mouth, and that's like very cult like, right? Like
Yeah.
people go ahead.
It's just, it's the manipulation of it all. You can't wear this. You're being sleep deprived. Food is being
Mhm,
restricted. All of these things just go back to like reminding you that I'm the one in power. I'm the one in charge. I'm the decision
mhm,
maker. And
mhm,
when you're in that type of environment for long enough, you
mhm,
believe it because a lot of that psychological manipulation that's happening. And of course it is probably a large percentage of that was women because
mhm,
they I'm sure there was probably this allure to him that like wow he's a really he's a spiritual guy, he's down to
mhm.
earth, but he's also like I want to learn from him, like there's something about him.
Yeah, and it's like he even had, like, you were not allowed to wear green. You had to remain celibate. Like, there were, like, right, there were so many weird things, like, he punished them by making it even hotter in there. Like, he would call them, like, offensive names. Like, there was a woman, he called her Miss Boobs because she had, like, larger breasts. Like, he
That's
made
so
fun.
just like what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know. He made fun of the AIDS epidemic that was happening. He taunted students on their weight. It was so fucking toxic. But
Oh my
like,
God.
oh, it gets worse. These people just keep
Yeah.
seeing him like he's walking around in a speedo.
Oh,
That's how he is, like, in like a gross like top bun where he's like balding.
I don't need to see any man in a Speedo ever, period.
Insert picture.
Yeah, like that is just, and that also is just so, like, it's so goddamn creepy. Like, you're the one that we're looking up to, and you're like basically naked and you're like on display. Enough.
Yep.
Enough of that.
Yep. He had a Rolex watch, the balding top knot. He had his own air conditioner, but no one else had an air
I
conditioner.
like how you added in the balding top knot because
Yeah.
truly it sets the picture. It sets the tone. Okay, so
Yep.
he has his own aircon. No one else does.
Aircon. You call it aircon?
Air conditioning, AC, aircon.
I've never heard it that way. Interesting.
It's cute.
He during his post yoga lectures, he would regularly ask the young females to give him full body massages and comb his hair.
Wow.
Yes. Now, where he gets even more fucking crazy is that he would be like, I can totally cure you. He said to Phuket News, whatever the problem you have, I can cure it. He said he could cure Parkinson's disease. He said he invented the disco ball. He said he taught the Beatles yoga in 1959. He said he only needed to sleep 30 hours a month and he was best friends with Elvis. Like, what?
What? Like,
Oh,
what is the disco ball of it all? Why does that part even, what are you talking about? Like, interesting. Okay. 30 hours of sleep a month,
I
bizarre. Yeah,
that's
maybe
like
you only
an
need
hour
that
a
because it's
night.
gonna like give you like psychosis and then you're gonna just like believe his delusion.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. So it's like crazy, like how, like, it's just that power dynamic, right? It's like saying like,
Yeah.
well, how can people, women especially, see this going on and stay in it? And it's like you want to be a part of this. It's a
Yep.
cult, it's like that hive mindset. People are probably like pressuring you, stay, we want to be the best of the best. So like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, they should know better. Like when you're in
Yeah.
that environment and probably like have such a huge authoritative figure over you, they probably were scared to leave.
Scared to leave. And also, it sounds like it didn't start off as intensely. Like
Mhm.
maybe they went to a class and they loved it and they wanted to learn more about it. It was something that was just like growing. Like, think
Mhm.
about any like workout like companies now, like if it's like an Orange Theory or a Pure Bar or whatever, they're like such like hate to say it, guys, if you're listening, whatever. I don't care. Every class that I've gone to, like such like cult like energy. I'm like, this is like
Yeah.
way too much. I'm not having fun, not my vibe. But it makes sense because it gives people a community. And then when you're experiencing these trainings, right? Like this is how I'm going to learn,
Mhm.
then it gets sticky of like, well, now you're not sleeping. You're being told you can't do X, Y, and Z. You start to just believe that like, oh,
Mhm.
this is what has to be done. And if I want to aspire to be as, a guru like him, then I must have to do all these things. So it starts off fairly
Mild.
undetected, mild, and then all of a sudden there's this like big switch and it's almost like people they don't even see it happening because they're so bought in and they're so invested and maybe
Mhm.
just really needing that community aspect.
I mean, and this is why we are also going to be interviewing a cult survivor because that'd be interesting to talk to her as well. But
Yeah.
it's the same thing, like, and then it's this man that's like telling you like you will be successful if you're here, and he's like telling you like how amazing he is, and you're also like in this, I would say probably like weird, I don't want to say psychedelic state, but like when you were pushing your body so
Yeah.
hard and like dying of heat exhaustion, this person's telling like you're gonna be so good. Like it's probably just easier to like
Yeah, you're
submit and
fucked
keep.
up. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
literally.
honestly, like you're not sleeping, you're overheated, your food is restricted. Like you're not in a
Hmm.
mind to really consent to it all.
And take authority over yourself. Yeah, no, you're
Yeah.
not. No.
Yeah. Oh
So
my
no,
God.
no victim blaming here. It makes sense to why that happened.
Totally.
So it gets worse.
Of course
In
it does.
2013 is when the sexual assault claims started happening. Well, 28 or 28, 2008, and
Okay.
like on is when they all start. So, um, in 2016, he was ordered to pay $7 million to his former legal legal advisor for punitive damages. So the lawsuit, there was like a lawsuit breach in 2013 for wrongful termination, and the uh, the person that sued him, his former I can't talk today, former legal advisor, was saying that she was wrongfully terminated because he created a hypersexual, offensive, degrading environment for women,
Mm.
which is 100% true. Her name, I'm going to butcher it, so I apologize. Minaski Jaffa Bowden. So she filed this when she was fired for refusing to cover up rape allegations. He demanded his staffers that brush his hair, give him massages. He denied any wrongdoings, of course, because that's what he does, is deny, and told the jurors he would borrow money from the family and friends at the time. But he had 40 luxury cars. Remember, he has like a $75 million like everything.
Right. Right.
So he has Bentleys, Ferraris, all this stuff, and he was ordered to pay $7 million. He left the country. There is currently still a warrant for his arrest. He has not paid anything. The warrant's at 8 million. So they tracked all of his stuff, and he was moving things out of the country, and so they actually put like a hold on it, so he can't move anything out of Nevada or Florida, and that's where like his properties and warehouses were.
Okay.
So that was in 2017. And then 2023, one of his sexual assault victims, Jill Lawler, she was raped at the age of 18 by him. He was 66 at the time. And after 8 years, I feel so bad for this part, 8 years of litigation, Chaudhry and his colleague, they didn't name his colleague, but they were dodging the system, and he was set to pay 7.7 million. He left the country. That was the rape. His former legal advisor, he was trying
Okay.
to get her to cover, so it's kind of like connected.
Yeah.
When he left the country, his colleague had to like file bankruptcy because he didn't have anything. Like Chaudhry
Yeah.
had everything. The only thing they were able to recover for her was insurance policies at $50,000, which is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he has 44 luxury cars. He has them hidden across the United States. The Department of Justice appointed a trustee to track down his Bentleys, his Rolls Royces. 22 of them were uncovered in a Miami warehouse, and they were arranged to be auctioned off to pay off his debt.
Hmm.
Um, there were more allegations, and he said he was like, they're all false. I never did anything. Like, and, and then he said, this was pretty funny. He said that 5,000 women a day went to sleep with him. Why would he harass women? And then he also said people would spend $1 million for a drop of my sperm. And I pick women up from trash and give them life.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
visualize man in a Speedo with top knot, and he has a receding hairline. What
Mm-hmm.
a disgusting freak of a human being.
I know.
That is horrible. And I'm sure a lot of the women that were going to be certified learning this style of yoga were they were younger. They're probably young, healthy women, maybe 18 to 22,
Vulnerable.
23, 24, right? And there is that aspect of learning from a man in like an authority position and not being
Mm-hmm.
able to vocalize your concerns, especially when it gets predatory like that. That is, oh
Mm-hmm.
God.
Yeah. So I'm sure there were many more women who, excuse me, were, victimized in some capacity, but were, probably afraid to step up and say something because he's a lot of power. He's a lot of money. He's fled the
Yeah,
country pretty easily. Probably because not having it, I don't think he had a green card, but probably because he wasn't like documented. Like he probably got,
sure.
through the grapevine much easier.
Also, if he has, if you have money, you can
Yeah.
probably do things a little bit, it's shady, but you probably do things easier. And wherever he is, it's probably in a country that like does not extradite to the US. So as long as he doesn't leave, then they can't, you know.
Well, this is where it
Oh,
gets, like,
the
confusing. So,
T. Okay.
the T. So, 2019, this is in 2019. He was doing yoga, teacher trainings internationally, Spain, Mexico. He was doing a legacy tour of India in 2020 in 7 cities from January and February. They had hot yoga classes, worships, lectures. It was almost $4,000 a person.
Oh my God.
He used these teacher trainings to meet and groom young women. And
Ugh.
yep, yep. And many studios are still like welcoming him in. Like, again, very cult like, you know,
Yeah.
it gets
That's
worse.
I'm sure also like people aren't clued into the allegations or they just don't believe it,
Hmm.
which is so horrible.
Probably like, oh, I bet they probably are afraid to ask.
Or yeah, totally, totally.
Or just like,
There's
he wouldn't
this,
do that, he wouldn't do that.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my God. That's
I know.
horrible.
So in 2020, ABC7, they found, they noted about this. He was hiding in Mexico. It's funny. He racked up 180 that wow, my brain does not work today. $180,000 bill at Princess Mundo Imperial Hotel. He refused to pay. Mexican government, this is where it's so confusing. They seized his passport and stranded him in Mexico, but then somehow he was able to leave.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Weird. I
now
don't know.
this is the most current information. He is in Canada.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
So I was like, not sure how he got out of Mexico. Not me either. Vancouver Sun reported the boss is back. He's teaching classes in Vancouver, British Columbia. So what I was reading, if so, Canada's government system with warrants is very similar to ours, which is like a good thing.
Okay.
So, um, the warrant is active in California. If the warrant is still active in California, they can act on that warrant. So that's like
Oh, okay.
we're not sure if it's still active
Okay.
because they have a similar system. So this is what came off of Robert Russo. He's a PhD. When a person attempts to enter Canada with an outstanding US warrant, they are likely to be detained, questioned, and then they can be boarded onto a flight back to their country of origin. So they have had multiple requests placed with the LA Superior Court and the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, but they have not disclosed if the total information on the warrant. So that'd be the best case scenario. If that warrant is active, then they could take him out of British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
So, very, very currently, he has a teacher training in the fall of 2024. And if you go on his social medias, which he does have them, it's active. He's doing teacher trainings. There are people there, which is just fucking crazy. Like, but whenever I like pay to do something big, I'm like looking into it. Like these are not like $100 teacher trainings. These are like thousands of dollars. But then again, it's
Mm-hmm.
like he has such a big name. He has such a big fake history. You might think, oh,
Right.
like they that can't be real. He's so famous and popular and accomplished. Like that,
Yeah.
they're just trying to tarnish his name, right? And like a few other people are going, so he is very much still active, still teaching, still running amok, still grooming women.
Oh, that's so crazy
Hmm.
because I mean, I guess it's shocking, but also not so much because there have been a lot of documentaries that come out about him, and usually
Hmm.
that creates enough of like an upheaval where people
Hmm.
either, usually something is done. But I'm also not totally surprised because if you're in like the yoga world and you really love this style of yoga, maybe you're just not tuned in all the way because full
Yeah.
transparency, I only heard about this prior. I was listening to another podcast and they like mentioned it briefly. Like it was like, oh, it was similar to like the Bikram yoga sort of cult energy and then it was moved on. So
Mhm.
that's where I first heard about it. So maybe it's just not out there enough. There's not enough people that have heard about it. And also, again, if you're in that yoga space, you're not you're not looking for it because when I was on TikTok like just looking at different videos and stuff, there's not as much talk
No.
about it. It's a lot of positive experiences and I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, no, you're totally right about that. I mean, it makes me think about CrossFit. CrossFit just had like their CrossFit games not too
Yeah.
long ago, and on the first day, I think on like one of the first couple events, there was a death, and he drowned. I want to say it was about very close, under 50 meters from where he's supposed to end. And there were lifeguards, there were everything. He drowned. Like, this is a person in extreme physical shape. He fucking
Yeah.
drowned. They chose to keep the games going. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, and right,
God.
and someone, there's so many, I don't know exactly how where I was going with that, but I was trying to say, like,
Yeah.
not everyone knows, like everything that goes on in the history of a sport, right? So like
Yep.
you could get into CrossFit tomorrow and not know, like, and there are many reasons with every sport where things go like wildly and crazy and whatever, and some people just enjoy it. And not, this is like not to say don't do Bikram yoga, right? Right? Because
Yeah.
but it's just like, people don't know, and I think about, like, it's scary watching the people that still go to his trainings, and, like, it's scary.
It is really scary because at the core of it, it might be, if you like yoga, it might be like a really amazing practice, but it's also really scary that there are still people attending these trainings, attending classes, being in close proximity with somebody that is
He's a
so
monster.
predatory. It's
Yeah.
oh God, it's like that's so gross. It's
Mhm.
so gross. And I feel yoga in particular can be super sexualized by like gross
Men.
teachers. Like that's
Gross.
some of the stuff that I found on TikTok. Like it wasn't specifically um Bikram yoga fully related, but it was just a lot about people having really terrible experiences with their mentors that took advantage of them in a sexual nature. And it's just so gross. Like why do these like freaky predator people have to like go and ruin something like that? Like it's just another thing that you have to put in the forefront of your mind.
I mean, even when I was a CrossFit coach, like, the very
Yeah.
first gym I was at, like, there was a rule you do not date the clients. Like, because
Yeah.
anytime someone's in an authoritative position, like,
Mhm.
it gets murky, like, the
Totally.
where the lines are, and that's something, like, every CrossFit gym I've worked at, there is always some type of distress, not distress, some type of weird energy that happens. Like, great
Yeah.
example, I was a CrossFit coach at a gym, not gonna name names, but and this was, like, with, what's it called? I guess there's 2 examples of that, but it was, a guy, and I was a CrossFit coach, and he was just, like, a member of the gym, but, like, friends with the owner, and, I was squatting or doing something, and he was like, "Maddie, your butt's looking good." And I was just like, and I was by myself with him in the gym, and this man could, like, probably, like, twist my neck in a second. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think m men forget, like, when it comes to, like, catcalling and things, and I've seen men get, like, mad, like, "Well, why can women do that?" I'm like, "Because you're not afraid you're gonna die, that's why."
Yeah.
And, like, I remember when he told me that, I felt so gross, like, he was just, like, fucking, like, observing my whole body. Like, you could, if you wanna compliment my strength, that's totally fine, be like, "Hey, looks like you're getting really strong." that would have been fine. I would have been
Yeah.
told that thanks, and been like,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that.
That's not what he
Not like,
cared about. That was not
no,
there was
no.
there was no positive intention behind that. It was just like oogling at you and just like ugh,
Yes. And I
that's
was
so gross.
exactly. And I was like, and then I remember I told my boyfriend, and he was like, he was so upset about it. And there was like a gym party, like Christmas, and we were gonna go. And I'm like, I pray to God he's not there. Cause like I then went, and this man was like literally could be my father. So like old as dirt.
Oh,
I
oh,
know. I know. I was
ugh,
like,
like
why? Like you could be my grandpa. Shut the fuck
yeah, like
up.
it shut the fuck up. And like for I don't know, for any man to be like, well, if a woman did it, I'm like, how many women are going around being like, ooh, nice butt, like when you're lifting, like no one's doing that,
No,
like
no. I've never
no
done
one
that.
is doing that, never, like
No.
just mind yours and I'll mind mine. Like, what is it about?
Exactly.
Oh my God, that is really gross. And like, were you at the CrossFit gym by yourself, or was
There
there?
ye It was, like, open gym, and no one was there. Cause like, open gym, you can, like, a
That's
coach
so
just has to be there.
scary.
Yeah, and it was just him, and I was just like, please, God, someone come in. Someone else."
Yeah. Oh, that's so scary. And it
Mhm.
puts you in such a vulnerable position. And then you're feeling like you're so on guard. And
Yep,
that is so uncomfortable.
yep. So,
Ugh,
yeah, thank God, like, no longer in that position for that to happen anymore,
sure.
but, you know, it's It it's just something that, especially with fitness, like, I feel like it's just very easy for that to happen where it's
Hmm.
a male figure. Women are probably more appealing to them because they're sexualizing their outfits, they're
Yeah.
sexualizing the poses, they're just sexualizing women in general if that's the type of man they
Yep.
are. And then that's how these situations happen, unfortunately. So it's, on if you're going to a gym, just, something ever like is that to happen, like don't be afraid to go up to, the owner, the front desk, whoever, find
Yeah.
someone you can talk to comfortably and let them know like you're not feeling safe in that environment.
Yeah. And there's just this sense of entitlement
Yeah.
where things like that have happened at the gym and just like even just out in the world. I'm at this wedding and it
Hmm.
was like, I don't know. I know my parents and then to a couple of other people. So I go up to the open bar and I'm getting myself a drink. There is a dog right behind you, and I literally can't stop.
I know it's one of the, is it like a long haired?
I'm
Oh, it is.
obsessed.
Oh, adorable.
Um, uh, Go to YouTube. Okay. Just see what I'm seeing, my POV as I'm trying to tell this story.
Is
So I get
that better?
a drink. It's that's so I'm getting a drink for myself and my dad. And there is this man next to me who is literally the same age as my father. And
Oh, and your
he
dad's old as dirt too. All in good love.
you're not you're not wrong. So paint the picture. There's this like it's like
Wait, pause, pause. If you're catching this for the first time, Allie, when she was a child, when her dad would pick her up from things,
oh
she would be like, "Oh yeah, that's my grandpa."
yeah, no, people would be like, "Oh, your that is that your grandpa?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, that's my grandpa." I'm like, "No." It's oh my God, I was always so embarrassed as a kid. Why is that like embarrassing? Well, because I guess like you don't want people to think that's your grandpa, that's your dad, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Anyways, as we digress, this old ass man is
Uh-huh,
standing next to me. He's talking to one bartender. I'm talking to the other one. And he
uh-huh.
goes and looks at me, the old man, and goes, "Make it extra strong. I'm trying to take advantage of my wife tonight." And then looks right at me and is like smiling and like being weird. And I was just like, the entitlement to think that you can make a joke like that, number one, fucking weird. And then look at a young woman. And I was just like, what the fuck? So I was like, and I just like, I totally was like, this is uncomfy. And so I like go, I bring the drinks back to my dad. And I was like, listen to what this fucking weirdo just said. And he was like, who is it? And I was like, oh, I don't remember what he looked like. I was just like, like, I don't want to be pointing people out. And then
I'd
he
be like,
comes up,
that guy.
yeah, literally, he comes up later to me and apologizes. And he goes, "Oh, let me buy you a drink." And I'm like, "Buy me?" It's an open bar. First of all, you're not buying me a drink. And second of all, I'm all set. And then he introduces me to his wife. I'm like, what are you doing? The fucking gall of this man. I'm like, women, we got it so damn hard. We can't do nearly anything without the entitlement of just these weirdos. And so
Literally.
it just is so disheartening to when you find something you love, right? Whether it's CrossFit or you love going to the gym, you love doing your yoga, Pilates, whatever, and you have a negative experience like that, or you just read about it and it really just puts a bad taste in your mouth. And oh
Mhm.
my God, what a gross story. What a
That
gross story.
yours, that one,
Yep.
even random example, when the first time I went first, second time I went to Joel's parents' house,
Yeah.
um, get out of the car, walking from the car up to the literally steps, like, not a far walk. I
Yeah.
hear, like, a whistle and, like, "Good job, Joel," and it was
Ah,
his fucking neighbor across the street, and I was like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh, he's, like, complimenting, like, you." Like, I've never fucking seen this man in my life. Like,
that is
good job,
so
like, whistling.
oh, what it is so
I know.
it's so insane. And it's if you're listening to this, I recommend you go listen to our Brittany Dawn deep dive, because it is another example of just, a bit of predatory nature, not in the same light.
Yes.
There was no sexual allegations or anything of that nature, but it's the premise of like taking advantage of people, whether
Yes.
it's monetarily, whether it's, committing crimes against them, right? It's
Yes.
it's a lot of things. And this is where we like to bring awareness just to the health and fitness. Your experience should not be, it does not have to be predatory or scary. Like there are
Mhm.
places and people and community that's like really uplifting and safe
Mhm.
and full of women that like are just like you, because it's really sad and gross to hear a
Yeah.
story like this. And
Yeah.
in the case of the Brittany Dawn, just like people being scammed out of money, right? Paying for
Yeah.
something, paying for a service, never
Not
getting that
receiving it.
service.
And
It's crazy.
that's episode 34 if you wanna go
Yeah.
back to that. I wanted to note that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's scary and, that's why I would like to do these deep dives on things that, are just to inform you guys, and I think they're interesting and also, like, I learned a lot, so
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this deep dive. Do we know what we're deep diving next month?
Oh God, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. So if you have made it this far, Maddie and I switch off deep dives. Like she will present to me, I present to her. And so I am up next and it will be for the month of October. So I'm like, do we do like
Ooh,
something spooky? I don't know. Like give me some lore about something spooky. I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. If you guys have something that you want to see, drop it in the comments, send us a
mhm,
message on Instagram,
mhm.
because I am open to ideas, but I don't know yet. My brain is still trying to define what will be the deep dive.
What is deep dive?
What Google, what is deep dive? Me on
Uh,
ChatGPT literally all the time. What is deep dive?
but yeah, we like switch off on topics too. So we like to do like products, we like to do kind of people, things that are
Yep.
happening in the health and fitness world. And yeah, we've done the greens powder. That was a really good one that we did because my in my start to lift membership, someone asked, like, should I be taking greens? Like, is this something I need to like spend and invest money in? And if you haven't listened to that, make sure you go listen to that. But no, long story short answer
Yeah.
is no.
But if
But if
you want
you
to know why, go
yes,
listen.
listen to that. But please make sure you send this to a girlfriend, a friend who does hot yoga or who does Bikram yoga or who does, anything in the fitness world, just because it's just something to Unfortunately, we live in a place where we as women need to like keep just things in the back of our mind when we're out in the world, especially like in
Mhm.
the fitness world. And because if we walk through life naively, unfortunately, we are just more likely to be taken advantage of and be get in these situations, right? Because
Yeah.
like I mean, that's why men prey on young women, right? It's exactly why.
Yeah.
They have not been tainted yet by the reality of like life,
Yeah.
which is, sad.
Yeah. And again, it's when we think about the work that we do, the women we work with, health and fitness and that as a whole, it's such a positive thing. But it's such a good reminder that anybody could fall victim to these sorts of things. And just having these conversations, I think, is so important because if we pretend like these types of things don't exist or they don't happen,
Mhm,
that's how this guy is just going to continue to like make
mhm.
more money and do more damage and hurt more people. And it's just like, oh God,
Yeah.
it's gross. It's super gross. And the fact that and I'm not letting go of this, described him as wearing a Speedo with a balding man bun. I'm like, the fucking gall of this dude. It's insane.
Yeah, yeah. Anything you wanna close on before we close up shop?
I don't think so. I have a couple of one-on-one coaching spots open. And if you're thinking, like, I always talk about clients, when is the best time to start working on your goals? I say, like, right now, because summer craziness just ended and we have time before the holidays. And isn't it so much better to put habits under your belt before things get crazy so that when things feel a little bit crazy, you actually have tools? Yeah, you don't have
Mhm,
to, like, then go on like a fucking crash diet come January because
mhm,
that's not the vibe. So I'll
mhm.
put links below and then we'll also link to our personal pages. If you guys are new here, tell us what your thoughts were on the episode because we love a deep dive. Maddie and I love a deep dive.
Yes. Yes, and let us know if this was good. I'm, like, low key always afraid now to not go deep enough in a deep dive because I saw someone on Threads posted, like, "I hate when I get to a deep dive and it literally was, like, 5 minutes long." I'm like,
Oh,
I'm gonna try to deep di
deep.
dive as
I'm
deep
going to dive deeper.
I'm
I'm
gonna
going to
deep
dive in deep to my deep
I
dive.
ke I keep saying it I'm gonna dive in as deep as I can. Always the southern accent that comes out. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening or watching the Kinda Healthy. Please make sure to subscribe. Give us a 5-star review. Share this with your girlfriend, especially if she's doing yoga. And you can find us anywhere: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Anywhere where you stream podcasts. If you have a burning question about life, friends, with health, one or two cents, email us at kindahotpod@gmail.com. That's KINDAHOTPOD at gmail.com. Bye.
Bye.